And welcome to the Rowdy.com Big Three post-Talladega edition. I'm Buzz Cutler. This is not Bassmasters.
Not at all.
Though I know that there is a similarity there. This is Jay Pennell from FrontStretch.com and AllLeftTurns.com. Thanks for filling in for Bass.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
So issue number one has got to be Jimmie Johnson, obviously. Brought it home, grabbed the victory at Talladega on a pretty amazing three-wide last lap pass.
Yeah, it was pretty intense finish to that race. Coming out of turn 4, I definitely didn't think they had the win. I thought it was either going to be, the 5 and the 24 or the 33 and the 29, and here they came and down to the bottom, and it was pretty good finish to the race.
Yeah, and in some ways, to me, it was less about Jimmie Johnson and more about Hendrick Motorsports.
Very much so.
You had those four cars committed to one another. It was sort of the Hendrick culture, man. Mm-hmm. We are a team. Yeah. We are a team, live or die, and they really, committed to that yesterday, and it paid off for them.
And it's tough to stick with teammates at Talladega like that. The way anything can happen. It takes a lot to stay committed to a teammate and a partner throughout the entire day.
Right, and it was the 4888, one garage, and the 524, another garage. No intermixing of those garages.
Yep. And you saw the Childress cars. I mean, they worked interchangeably together, but the Hendrick cars definitely had that plan throughout the day and stuck to it.
Yeah, and it definitely paid off. All four of those cars were in the top 10. 3 of them were in the top 5. Let's move on to issue number 2, which I think has got to be the human pinball himself, Kurt Busch. He took out not just one car, not just 2 cars, but 3 cars yesterday. Landon Castle, Dave Blaney, and his teammate Brad Keselowski.
And those are just the cars that he spun out. Multiple other cars were involved in the wrecks that he caused. So I don't know what was going on there, but definitely not the day to have Kurt Busch in your mirror.
No, and Kurt Busch is a good plate racer. I think he's got the most number of top 10s and top 5s on plate tracks without having won. I think of him as a good plate racer. Is it just that they're still figuring this stuff out?
I think so. And I mean, he won the Bud Shootout. He won his Gatorade Duel. Was really strong in the 500, Daytona 500. But I think the 2-car draft at Talladega is a little bit different than the 2-car draft at Daytona, maybe just the way the tracks are. But I think he was just trying to figure it out, maybe a little bit of desperation, pushing at the wrong time. So I don't know.
Maybe. I don't think a Kurt Busch is necessarily an overly aggressive style of driver. You don't think of him like you think of Kyle Busch,
right,
as sort of being a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more assertive. He's certainly experienced. He certainly is a talented race car driver. It's just really weird. I don't know if the Dodges don't line up quite as well with some of the other cars or what was going on.
It's definitely something to think about in the future, but you might ask Jimmy Spencer about whether or not Kurt Busch is an aggressive driver. But, yeah, it was just kind of a strange thing to see. We didn't really see anybody else having those issues pushing people. So I don't know. Maybe it might have something to do with the Dodges, but it's something to definitely look at in the future.
Yeah, and Kurt, I would just keep my eyes on that rear view mirror, and if you see the 83 coming your way, you better just push down on that accelerator.
Yeah, Casey Kane wasn't too happy either on fire.
I'm sure. All right, so now we have seen, I guess, 2.5 races, if we count last October's Talladega as a half race. We've seen 2.5 races with this 2-car draft. A lot of people like it. A lot of people hate it, as well as some of the drivers. Some of the drivers love it. Some of the drivers hate it. Where do you come down? Where does Jay Pennell come down on the 2-car draft?
I'm still the jury's kind of out for me. I really liked it in Daytona. I didn't like it as much Sunday in Talladega. I think that the field almost got a little bit too strung out. I wasn't a huge fan of the big pack racing. I thought that almost made it a little bit more exciting, though, because you never knew it was going to happen. The chance for risk was there a lot. The big wreck was always a possibility. So, I think it takes a little bit of the excitement out, but you'd also have to strategize a lot more. You're no longer a man out there for himself trying to go for the win. You need a partner. You need that guy pushing you, or you need to be pushing somebody. You need to rely on one spotter and basically drive 2 cars at the same time. So I think it adds an interesting element. But in the end, we pretty much saw the same thing we always see at Talladega, and that was a race that came down to the last handful of laps.
Yeah, that last sort of couple of laps dash is no different than the old style of drafting at Talladega. You know, I've always been sort of more of the David Poole school, not a big fan of plate racing, think racing at Talladega is just insanity. So I actually like this style better than the old style of plate racing. I think, as you said, there's a little bit more of a chess match mentality throughout the race, the entirety of the race, which I find engaging. I appreciate. I know Matt Kenseth said you're not in control of your own destiny so much because you can't see if you're the pusher, but in some ways I think you're a little bit more in control because you're not going to have the big one, the big chain reaction wreck. So I think it's less fluky. You're less liable to get taken out.
Right.
You know, you're still going to get taken out. Just ask Casey Kane and Brian Vickers, but not to the extent you may have in old Talladega. So I actually sort of really like this two-car draft. Now, it's still new. Will I like it in another couple of years? I don't know, but I like it better than old-style drafting.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was Jeff Gordon who said after the race, you know, this is the way it's going to be. I mean, the rules package, the way things are set up, this is how plate racing will be for the next however many years we stick with this package. So teams will continue to learn. They'll continue to adjust. I think in Daytona, the overheating issue was a major factor down there. I don't think we really saw that so much on Sunday. So, I mean, teams are learning, engineers are learning, engine builders are learning, spotters are learning, and the drivers are learning. They'll figure it out. And either way, the fans are probably going to be in for a good show.
Yeah, and the new bodies in 2013, not sure that they'll have a lot to say about this. I think those are going to be superficial sort of cosmetic changes.
Probably.
More than anything. All right, thanks for tuning in to the post-race edition of the Rowdy.com Big Three. Again, Jay Pennell, follow his musings at frontstretch.com, allleftturns.com, at JW Pennell if you want to follow him on Twitter, at Buzz_Cutler. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, y'all.
Rowdy.com. Say it like it is.
Say what like it is?
Rowdy.com.